hereby call the meeting of the Administration and Public Works Committee of the Evanston City Council to order. We have a quorum. We'll begin with public speakers. Public speakers will have 3 minutes to address the committee, beginning with Timothy Schoolmaster, followed by David Ellis, and then Peter Hett, please.
It's so dim in here tonight.
Alderman, good evening, and Mr. Lyons. This is regarding item A13, the naming of Autobarn Place, which Alderman Rainey had asked that the rules be suspended. And I wrote to Alderman Rainey, and she said she's having internet trouble, so I was not able to hear back from her. I really have no personal interest in your doing this, but previously, I had done research on some of the larger businesses around here to see the number of city vehicle licenses they had purchased. The Autobarn has hundreds of dealer plates. I did several. I had 3 years in a row, and I forget whether it was 2010, 11, and 12, or 11, 12, and 13, where they had purchased none. In 2014, they hosed the city pretty well. Last year, they started buying a few more, but we're still looking at in the thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, and of course this is without any fines. So we could easily be talking about over $100,000, and I understand there's something going on with their licenses for this year, but it's certainly not the full amount that they have. The only issue that I would raise is after spending all the money, legal money, to deny the church down there and then bending over backwards to help Autobarn get down there, whether the alderman would really like to name this until some of these accounts have been settled. I'm not saying don't do it. You just might want to not do it yet. Thank you very much.
Thank you. David Ellis, Peter Hett, and then David Guran. I always butcher that. I apologize.
Good evening, Alderman. Mr. Lyons, my name is Dave Ellis, resident of Evanston, 1319 Grant, retired firefighter, paramedic in Evanston for 34 years. I'm here to talk tonight about the data breach that somewhere between 700 to 1,000 employees had their Social Security number posted in a see-through window on their 1095-C form. There's been attempts made to hijack or establish credit under some of our guys' names that are active. I can't speak for retirees or other employees. I would suggest that staff looks into this. This is a serious issue for everybody involved, particularly the people who are getting their identity hijacked. And I would make a suggestion that the city look into a LifeLock type of thing or something to cover the employees. So if stuff is going on currently or going to go on, that there's some backup for these people that, with their identities. That's what I got tonight. Thanks.
And with leave, our Assistant City Manager.
Yes, members of the committee. We have just sent out a letter to all impacted staff, and the letter allows for 1 year of a security, like a LifeLock, but for a security. Staff, all impacted parties have 1 year for which to sign up. So the letter from the 7th to from April 11th to April 7th of 2017 may sign up for 1 year paid by the city for them to monitor all of their credit to make sure that nobody's accessing. We will monitor who's signing up. We definitely want to know for anyone who has had issues. If anyone is aware of staff or retirees with issues, we'd like to know to push a little bit more for that. The issue at hand was, my understanding of the issue was that we had envelopes that went out that did not seal, according to the city clerks, because I was actually a recipient of one of those envelopes that was unsealed. So I did not notice that. I could see my Social Security number, but I'll be happy to add that you could also see it through the window as well.
Was it a clear envelope like this with a face, and then this was what was actually...
But was it visible?
This was what was visible. My name, my address, and my Social Security number, which is total, but it didn't need to be total. Just had to be the last four. And then
But it's when you bring the envelope back up.
that envelope was not the original envelope, but I've got an envelope
Tim-
over here.
Mine was in the Tribune, the picture was in the Tribune, and this is it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The full number was available.
Oh, it's in the Tribune. Okay.
I have it.
Well, we will, so we hope you take advantage of the offer to employ the security services.
Alderman Braithwaite?
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Miller. And unfortunately, this is the first time I've seen this or heard about it. I didn't read the Chicago Tribune article, so is it possible, Marty, just to get a
We'll get a
one-page
copy.
summary and just an understanding of what happened and make sure that it doesn't happen again?
Will do.
Our apologies. Yeah.
Peter Hett, David Gurin, and Sarah McLaughlin.
Good evening, committee members. My name is Peter Hett, and I am a representative of the Auto Barn, and here tonight to just briefly state our hopes for the request to change the name to Auto Barn Place. We feel that this would surely make a statement to our long-term commitment. And it says something to the long-term relationship between Auto Barn and Evanston. Again, the changing of the name is more than just a street sign. It is woven into our whole attempt to draw people to our building. When people, whether they go via GPS and try to locate our building, it takes them to our current address, which is 222 Hartree. That said, we are going through working with Evanston to make that change since we cannot drive through the neighborhood. But in short, I think it says something to our commitment, long-term commitment to the city of Evanston. And I thank you for allowing this to be heard. Thanks.
Thank you. With leave, Assistant City Manager.
Yes, just as a follow-up, because we do take the issues brought forward by Mr. Schoolmaster very seriously. That's why we have had the increases over the past 2 years in collections of the wheel tax from Auto Barn. We will follow up on the data that he's given. Right now, we are working through this with Auto Barn. If I may, it would be my suggestion that the council or the committee consider moving forward with this with the knowledge that we are currently withholding economic development funds that were a part of our development agreement with the expansion of Auto Barn. So we are withholding funds right now until the wheel tax issue is cleared up.
David.
I'm sorry, and we are withholding more funds than are at risk as a result of the wheel tax. So, for instance, we have 100 wheel tax registrations at $7,500 paid for, and we feel we have another 40 that we need to have paid, but we'll take Mr. Schoolmaster's information as well to see if there's any more. So on a scale, you're looking at $3,400 that we're still looking at for 2016 only.
And thank you. David Gurin, Sarah McLaughlin, and Steve Rogue.
For the last, if I could.
Okay. Then Sarah McLaughlin.
Good evening, Alderman. I'm here to speak on the proposed ordinance for massage establishment licensing in Evanston. So the proposed ordinance, if it is passed in its current form, will be prohibitive to business and will cause business owners in Evanston to be lost and talented therapists to move to other municipalities and neighboring cities. And in my opinion, it is not an effective tool for law enforcement. And I'm just going to quickly touch upon the issues, to me, in order of priority. Under definitions, I move that the term buttocks, pubic area, and breasts of a female be removed from this document. There are at least 15 muscles in the human posterior hip on each side, amounting to over 30, and that would prohibit me and other trained therapists from working on that area. Pain referral from the patterns go from everywhere from the low back to creating false sciatica, and this is a common area and a common practice for licensed massage therapists to work. Pubic area or hypogastric region, when you look it up in a medical dictionary, refers to every part of the body below the umbilicus or belly button. I am a abdominal massage therapist primarily, and it would prohibit me from working on problems as simple as constipation to treating scar tissue and bladder incontinence for women who have had cesarean sections as well as hysterectomies. Again, this is also a common area to work. Insofar as breasts of a female, it is my opinion that this is being sexualized and in fact is not sexual. And it is also a common practice for massage therapists who are trained to work with women post-mastectomy to soften scar tissue in this area. And I would like for the council to note that male genitalia has not been mentioned once in this ordinance, and female has been mentioned at least 2 times, if not 3. Under unlawful acts, section E, treatment room doors would not be allowed to be fitted with a lock. I understand this is an anti-sex trafficking clause. However, my office holds almost $2,000 worth of equipment that I would like to see stay in my office. And I move that we alter the language to say it is unlawful for a massage room to have a door incapable of being manually unlocked from the interior to also protect vulnerable parties who may be living and experiencing sex trafficking. Under operating requirements, section C, separate dressing rooms for each sex would be required with individual lockers for each employee. This is a false assumption that we all work in spas and have uniforms to change into. That is in fact not the case at all. I move that this be removed from the document or altered to apply only to those organizations that require their uniforms to be worn by their employees, and that the term separate sex be changed to gender neutral. Under the same section B, posting price rates in the reception area gets very complicated when you look at a facility that houses multiple individual therapists with all their own pricing structure, and it creates kind of a mess in the reception area. And it specifically states that we must put it there, so it would be my preference and my request to either remove the language or to alter it so that we can post our prices in our treatment rooms alongside our state and municipal licensing. Also, in defining grounds for disciplinary action, I would suggest adopting the following language or something similar from our state licensing agreement, and perhaps altering it to fit the Evanston community. Under Section 45, Grounds for Discipline, Massage Licensing Act, the department shall revoke any license issued under this act of any person who is convicted of prostitution, rape, sexual misconduct, or any crime that subjects the licensee to compliance with the requirements of the Sex Offender Registration Act. I do feel that would be very helpful. Finally, easily adding hours of operation restrictions. No legitimate massage establishment practice is open at 2 a.m. And also adding advertising restrictions would be helpful, prohibiting businesses from advertising as to the gender, age, or the physical attributes of their employees. This would be an effective tool for law enforcement. They would even have to have a sting operation if someone was doing that. They could shut them down. And the last thing I'd like to say is that Evanston has the opportunity here to become a leader and an example for other municipalities needing to also create massage therapy establishment business licenses that are effective. Most ordinances currently in existence are prohibitive to doing business and do little to aid law enforcement. Evanston can and should create an ordinance that gives the police the tools that they need to shut down illicit activity. And please trust me when I say that no one wants to end illicit activity more than the massage therapy community. In that interest, it is in my opinion that this ordinance in its current form is highly prohibitive to business and is unhelpful to law enforcement. It is my belief that Evanston can be a model for other municipalities who need positive and effective language. And I have been a business owner in Evanston since 2008, having moved from Chicago because of an incredibly similar ordinance. So I hope to remain a part of your community, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Just for the public's information, there was some confusion about where this item was. It is currently not in this committee. It'll actually be heard at the full council later on tonight. Just wanted to make that clear. Alderman Holmes?
And to make it even clearer, it is my intent to hold this, to move this to be held until we can review and look at the language and bring it back to the committee. So I will be making that request at council.
Alderman Braithwaite?
Thank you, Alderman Holmes, and to Ms. McLaughlin and the other practitioners. I mean, this is exactly why we have second readings. And so I don't know if you're going to stay for full council, but do understand that we're going to be paying close attention to it. So thank you very much for your thoughtful comments and all the emails that we've received.
Okay, Steve Rogue, followed by James Specker, and then David Gurin.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Steve Rogney. I am the owner of Zen Shiatsu Chicago, a shiatsu school and clinic in Evanston. I've been an outspoken organizer of public comments on behalf of the massage and bodywork communities. I was very happy in 2012 to see how receptive city officials were to public comment and how quickly everyone is able to get their heads around a complex issue. And it's the same set of issues that faces us today. I appreciate the position of the police department in bringing this ordinance up for consideration. At the start of the 2012 zoning deliberations, I held the opinion that was expressed to me by many colleagues that prostitution and human trafficking are already illegal. Why do we need any kind of regulation within massage and bodywork to try to address it? My mind was changed when I learned the sheer scope of the problem of human trafficking in Chicagoland and all over the country. The issue of criminals pretending to be massage and bodywork therapists is getting worse, not better. And every time a so-called spa or massage establishment gets busted because it's actually a brothel full of enslaved women under armed guard, our profession just gets dragged through the mud. And if human trafficking can happen in a community like Evanston, it can happen anywhere. And it is getting worse. Every time it blows up in the news, less thoughtful city governments put together onerous or demeaning laws that, before anyone can stop it. And in my experience, we're very lucky that Evanston officials are thoughtful and responsive and are interested in stakeholder input. I do think we need a simple law that gives professionals, the massage and bodywork professionals, the ability to help law enforcement to quickly close down problem operators without a long and expensive undercover operation, without causing any burden to professionals. The current ordinance missed the mark due to a lack of stakeholder input in its inception, and the main thing we need, in my opinion, is more stakeholder input. I didn't hear about the ordinance until March 29th after the approval for action, and people's emotions, including my own, have been really running high over that. So my proposal would be that today City Council should vote either no or to hold the ordinance, and I would be happy to be part of a task force of industry professionals to create a new draft that meets the approval of the professional stakeholders and the needs of law enforcement, so all business owners and therapists can be part of the process. Of special importance to me is protecting the right of shiatsu therapists and other bodywork therapists to practice with their AOBTA certified practitioner credential or other credential as specified under state law. So graduates of my school complete a 2-year, 715-hour training. It's extensive as massage therapy training, but it's regulated differently under Illinois law. There are many body workers like myself who can legally practice without a massage license under Section 25 of the Massage Licensing Act, qualifying for an exemption with their certification from the governing body. So as a result, though, for those individuals, no background checks or state filing is required. Because of those cases, it might be a good solution to produce a body worker registry for the opportunity for such individuals as myself to have a local credential and background check. But as written, this ordinance entirely precludes our ability to practice. I've outlined and published possible solutions in my recommendations, and I do have simpler solutions ready, which may be preferable. I suspect all stakeholders, the city included, would probably be most satisfied with the simplest possible solution. So thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Rogney. Sorry for mispronouncing your name.
Oh, no problem.
James Specker, please.
Thank you, Chairman, committee members. I am James Specker. I'm the National Director of Government Relations for the American Massage Therapy Association. I will not be able to stay for the full council meeting, but I just wanted to go on record and offer our National Association services in developing meaningful ordinances like we do with many states around the country, or many cities around the country, and have with Evanston in the 22 years that our headquarters has been located here. I believe that every one of the committee members received our national concerns, and I'll forward that on to the full council, but just wanted to let you know that we are here in Evanston and we're willing to help in any way we can. So thank you.
Thank you. Finally, David Gurin. Oh, sir, did you sign up?
I did.
did sign it back, but 10 minutes ago.
What was your name, sir?
Christian Pappas?
You might have signed up for the full agenda, but if you'd like to, for the city council agenda, I'm sorry. So you're welcome to address this if you'd like. He has requested to go last, so.
Let's see.
Is it Christian Pappas, you said?
Christian Pappas, yeah. My name is Chris Pappas, and I, along with my wife, have operated YIA, the North Shores Wellness Spa, as a family-owned and operated business for nearly 14 years. It's a role we take very seriously. Among other things, we have nearly 40 employees, 12 to 15 of which are massage therapists, many of whom live here in Evanston. We take their livelihood and our ability to deliver their paychecks seriously. I read only last Friday, 3 days ago, on April 8th, that the City of Evanston was bringing to a vote tonight new regulations which would affect my business and employees. I'm delighted to hear that you're open to the idea of input. I did want to add, for a city that prides itself in consultative relationships with its citizens and its businesses, I was a little surprised not to have been made aware of the meetings, the last meeting, or the fact that a vote affecting many businesses here in Evanston was going to be coming up for a vote. And after calling and visiting several other businesses affected by this regulation, I was even more surprised to find out that most had not heard about this at all, and of those that had, they'd only heard 2 or 3 days earlier. Based upon what I've read in the newspaper articles, the area of concern seems to be prostitution, which has taken place in a couple locations here in Evanston over the last several years. We're equally concerned about this crime, and of course other serious crimes as well. And we're pleased at the level of protection and security the Police Department of Evanston has provided and continues to provide. They're to be applauded for an amazing job facing tremendous challenges. I'd like to return to the fact that the area of concern is prostitution. Prostitution is already a crime. A brief Google search indicates that prostitution is already a municipal, state, and federal crime. Do we need to regulate another industry in order to attack prostitution? Please just use the existing laws to arrest, fine, and incarcerate all those violating existing laws governing prostitution. I also note that the regulation requires that a massage business provide the state licenses of its massage therapists to the city. I would note here that the state of Illinois has an extensive massage licensing process which was put in place in 2003. It's a regulation which I supported then and support now. In addition to requiring that the applicants take a certain number of hours of coursework, graduate from an accredited school, and pass a national massage exam, the licensing process also requires that the applicants submit their fingerprints. Those fingerprints are run through state and FBI databases, which look for not only criminal convictions, but also items which may have been expunged from the record. Any problems? No license. Importantly, and I quote from the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation based upon conversations with them today, the Illinois State Police keeps a database of all licensed professions. The report is sent to the Illinois Department of Professional Regulations Enforcement Unit for them to handle and revoke any license if necessary. Isn't this real-time control powerful enough? What more can the city add to what the state is already doing in order to assure the integrity of massage therapist professionals, particularly for a problem which has occurred so very few times over the last several years? The cost-benefit analysis seems wanting. The benefits of proceeding with this regulation are far outweighed by the cost of enforcing it and by the fact that the state is already doing this job. I never thought I was going to say that, but they are.
Mr. Pappas, I'm going to have to ask you to conclude your remarks.
Sure.
Thanks.
2 minutes or?
Just if you'd wrap them up.
Okay.
Thanks.
I also noted that, we're required to provide clean sheets. We were voted Best Day Spa on the North Shore 2015, 14, and 13. That's mission critical. That's apple pie and motherhood. It's providing outstanding customer service. If we're not doing that, along with the other professionals here, it's going to be on Yelp. It'll be all over the internet. We need to maintain it because that's the way we need to maintain our business. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. And finally, David Gurin.
Thank you. Good, thanks. The drawings up there. Unfortunately, I didn't receive these drawings. It was a FOIA request until 3 o'clock this afternoon. I requested them on March 29th. So that's on my last minute here. So I'm speaking towards the Emerson Ridge and Green Bay project. It's A3.5. The city had 5 goals. I won't belabor the goals, but all 5 of those goals are not being met by this project. The first goal is a gateway to the downtown. It's not a gateway to downtown because you're dropping the second lane eastbound traffic on Emerson east of Ridge from 2 lanes. Also, you're reducing the southbound of Green Bay from 2 lanes to 1 lane from McCormick, all the way from McCormick, all the way through the Emerson Ridge Green Bay intersection. The second goal, reducing the number of conflicts. You very well have reduced the number of conflicts, but have those conflicts really been identified and looked into more in depth? Has the city engineer done a design failure mode and effects analysis? What this is looks at more than just the conflict or the failure mode. You're also looking for the likelihood that this conflict could occur and also looking at the severity of the conflict. And that evidence has not been shown. And also, when the Public Works Director was asked about accidents, he couldn't answer the question that actually this is going to improve that. On the third goal, which is improving the level of service and traffic flow, again, by reducing from 1 lane to 2, you're reducing the flow of traffic and causing backups. Also, as you see on this drawing here, you're creating this access drive for the apartment building or condo, whatever that is, on the corner of Emerson and Ridge. And that access drive is going to dump out onto Ridge into a single lane, and they're going to be coming down on a slope. All right, so you're putting them into harm's way and developing a new kind of conflict. Also, by reducing the grade, the engineers back in the 50s were actually very smart. Actually, when the southbound lane has a curve to it it has a slope to it that allows for cars to stay on the road as it is now. By dropping down the slope, you're going to have cars sliding in the winter towards the oncoming traffic when they're coming from Emerson and Green Bay into Ridge at that point. Fourth, the big promise of this was to improve the aesthetics and add public art. However, the owner of the tracks, which is not Metra but Union Pacific, has refused to allow the city to do those work. The city wanted to put some tile underneath the bridge and also make the bridge look nicer. All that is the responsibility of Union Pacific, and I encourage the city to actually encourage Metra to use eminent domain to take over that land, because actually this is not a critical route for Union Pacific, because they do not use it for freight traffic. And fifth, the enhance pedestrian safety and access. If you also look at the slide here too, where the access road is, and it's hard to see there, but in the middle there's actually some steps that go down to the street. Well, you're having people cross the road at this major intersection, and it's not clear that they're going to be very, very safe at that point. And then, lastly, to a few items also coming up in your agenda, real quick, is in terms of the Autobarn, I'm against that. I know for a fact that actually that's a favor from Alderman Rainey to her friend at the Autobarn, and I would prefer not to have council do this. On the dredging of Church Street boat ramp, with the latest lake level rises, do we really need to do the dredging? And one more thing, sorry. And then I would also suggest looking closer at your service contracts, particularly A31 with Siemens. You don't necessarily have to go through the manufacturer in order to have these service contracts done, and they often are overpriced. Thank you very much.
Thank you. On to the main agenda. I'm going to ask that Alderman Holmes, if you would you actually make the motion to approve any items that you do not object to? Alderman Braithwaite, if you just second, we'll go through it so we don't have to go back and forth. So, items A1 and A2, Alderman Holmes?
Sorry. Still stuck on a couple of things.
I'm sorry. Approval of the
that's
minutes to begin with. My apologies.
I would move that we approve the minutes of March 14th.
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Items A1 and A2?
Approval of the city payroll through March 20th for $674,316.30. Move approval.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. A2?
A2, the City of Evanston's bills through April 12th, 2016, in the amount of $3,820,884.90, and credit card activity through February 29th, 2016, in the amount of $196,686.18. Move approval.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. A31?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move item A31, the approval of the 2016-2018 renewal of the building automation service agreement for HVAC systems with Siemens Industries for the police headquarters, and that's for action.
Second, I'm sorry.
No, it's good. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Alderman Holmes, A32?
Approval of contract with, is that GWalk Hamilton Associates for the various parking lots improvement, engineering design in the amount of $144,650.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Alderman Braithwaite, A33?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move item A3.3, the approval of the contract with Glenbrook Excavating and Concrete, Inc. for the water main improvements, lining, and street resurfacing project at CIP number 15-16. And that's in a dollar amount of $1,637,841.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Alderman Holmes, A34?
A3.4, approval of contract with Garland DBS Incorporated for water plant roof and masonry repair in the amount of $511,273.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Alderman Braithwaite, 3.5?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move item 3.5, the approval agreement for the ALAM contractors for Emerson, Ridge, and Green Bay. And that's going to be in the dollar amount of $11,173,775.42.
Second.
And then with leave, Mr. Assistant City Manager, I understand we have some grant funding for to make up the shortfall.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Engineering and Public Works Agency staff worked diligently over the last week or so. Since we became aware of the situation, I would like to ask Dave Stonebeck to come up, or Laura Biggs, however you would like to
How about they
handle
both
this.
come up?
Besides the options in the memorandum, there are a few others, and we have provided a follow-up memo that both the press and the council should have at the present time.
Do we get that?
Mr.
Good
Stoneback.
evening, Dave Stoneback, Public Works Agency Director. The memo that we provided you tonight indicates that we were successful in getting an additional $1.3 million of grant funding towards this project, and that will substantially offset the deficit that we have. We will be moving forward to obtain the additional $844,000 in STP grant funding as well. If we're successful in getting that, we will then have the funds for the low bid amount. A concern I have is that we have no contingency funding, and there is a fair amount of underground work out there, and it would not be unusual to encounter some unknown, unforeseen obstruction at this point in time. So that would leave us, if that were to occur, then we'd have to come up and try to follow one of those other options to provide the funding that's necessary. But to this point, I think we're in pretty good shape, so I would as indicate, recommend that you authorize the city manager to go ahead and allow this project to be awarded.
Alderman Braithwaite?
Just a quick note to staff, Dave and Laura and the rest of the engineering staff, just thank you very much for the great work in such a short period of time. I know we still have a ways to go, but that's a huge win, and $2 million is a nice little nut to crack in such a short period of time. Thank you.
And Sat Nagar's do that praise. He's the one that went out there and got us the additional funding.
Thank you, Mr. Nagar.
Thank you. Alderman Holmes?
Well, I would ditto what Alderman Braithwaite just said, and I'm putting it on my prayer list so there will be no unforeseen problems, Dave.
It's a done deal.
Thank you.
Your mouth to God's ears. It's been done.
It's been done.
Mr. Stone?
That intersection was worked on was in 1950, and I don't think we have any real good drawings from back then to tell us what's what. So,
A quick question regarding the $844,000 from STP funding. So do you have a timeline on when you're anticipating a response to that?
within the next week, we hope.
Okay, if you could
And
just...
as we find out, we will advise the alderman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I think what the critical part of identifying the additional funding was to move forward with the project and not, we're on a timeline because IDOT is administering, so it's not as if we as a city could choose to fall back, ask a vendor to hold their prices for 6 months or do any of those things. None of those options are available to us at this point. It's a go, no-go situation, and we do have substantial other jurisdiction funding. The two major grants, we are talking about moving those up. There are future year grants that we're pushing to move forward, but the critical nature of the project means that we need to continue on with it, and we will continue to do the same thing we did over the last 2 weeks and look for replacements of those grants in the years 17 and 18.
Absolutely.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opinion of the chair is aye. Chair, the ayes have it. I believe Alderman Holmes, you're in 3-6.
A3.6, approval of the engineering services agreement with Tesca Associates Incorporated for Gibbs Morrison Center site improvement in the amount of $77,641. Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? I know you're a fan
wanna
of this,
say
Alderman
something?
Holmes. Yeah.
No, this will probably, in everything that we have there, all the inside work is done. I think, am I saying that right, Bob? We're all set. This is outside work that needs to be done to take care of some water retention and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sewer problems, I should say.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Alderman Braithwaite, 3-7.
Yes, Mr. Chair, item 3.7, approval of the contract with Kovilik Construction Company for the dredging of Church Street boat ramp.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Alderman Holmes.
A3.8, approval of the contract renewal with Crave in LLC to operate the lakefront concessions. Is Crave here?
No, they are not.
See,
they're
I-
Is there a
not here.
city
I can,
manager?
Pardon me, Mr. Chair. Lawrence Hemingway would like to have been here, but took ill. Bob Dornicker, Dave Stonebeck. Bob Dornicker is here to answer any questions. This is a last year in a multi-year contract, so the relationship has been good, but we would also say that they will be subject to a request for proposal for the next year.
Right.
I didn't see a menu. Did I miss that?
I thought there was one.
Did I miss it? I could have missed it.
There are many menus in the agenda.
It might have been on the last,
on the last one.
on the
Okay.
last
Do you have
one,
any
I think.
specific question?
I'm just.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Bob Dornicker, Assistant
All right.
Director of Parks and Recreation.
I think we should have this one open, Robert Crown, James Park, and I'm always concerned about the operating costs. And so if it was in the last meeting packet, I'm sorry I missed it, but I would love to see what the menu looks like along with their prices, just to make sure. I'm sure you've already vetted. I'm sure it makes sense, and they're going to make lots of money and stay open, but I would just like to see that menu along with the prices, Mr. Dorniker.
We'd be glad to follow
Thank you.
up with that.
Thank you. We want them to be successful. It
Absolutely.
makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
Are they applying for a liquor license?
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Alderman Holmes, A4.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking in March so I could get that for Alderman Braithwaite. So hold on, give me 1 second.
You want me to take A4?
I have to come back to, go ahead.
Okay. A4 is the approval of the Sidewalk Cafe at Red Robin Burgers at 1700 Maple.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Good luck. Yeah.
Okay.
How to vote? Yes. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Alderman Holmes, A5.
A5, Resolution 26-R-16, motor fuel tax funds for use for roadway construction in the amount of $1,400,000.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Alderman Braithwaite, A6, 1.
Mr. Chair, Resolution 22R-16 authorizing the participation in the Blight Reduction Program.
Is there a second?
A second.
Second.
Oh, I
Can't second your own motion. Any discussion? Alderman Braithwaite?
Thank you. I just have a quick discussion for staff. And so if you didn't read the packet and you only read Evanston now, one would think that we were limited in our partnerships with what happens to the property after it's been demolished. And so if you can share with the public some ideas or thoughts for the future and our possible partnerships, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Nora Holden Corbett. I'm Grants and Compliance Specialist with the Community Development Department of the city. So basically, what will happen is when we after we do the demolition for the program, there will be a 3-year retention period for greening, and at that point, we will then work for a more permanent purpose. In most of these cases, it would be for single-family affordable housing. One of the options was to work with the high school in their program, but we are by no means committed to using those homes for every single property. We could also look into the options of using home funds or affordable housing funds, or even just keeping them as lots and not rebuilding. So there are a lot of options. That was just one way that we could have cooperation within the city.
And for the public, how many properties have we identified?
So
citywide?
In our original application that was submitted in September 2015, there were 13 properties. And since then, one of them has actually been demolished using CDBG funds.
Great.
So technically, although we've been funded for $455,000 at the rate of $35,000 per 13 properties, one of them has already been demolished. However, we are going to be allowed to substitute new properties as we go along in this grant, and we will work as quickly as possible to demolish as many properties as we can in the time frame.
Thank you for your hard work.
Alderman Holmes?
Just to add that one of the benefits in terms of the high school program is that it is slow. We understand those people who are watching the one on Dodge. It takes a while because it is done by the students, but it's one of the ways in which we can really get real affordable housing. And when I say real affordable housing, I'm talking about people who make incomes much less than the median income. So we're looking at folk who are making $50 and less, $1,000 per year, so that the high school houses will help families that could afford then to own a home or even rent, because we don't have to be limited just in terms of buying. If I'm not mistaken, it could be rental as well. So that's one of the benefits of working with the high school in terms of having them to turn over some of these properties to them to build houses by the students.
Thank you. And so, Alderman Holmes, I know that there's the visible property on Dodge, but if a resident or someone wanted to see a completed house,
they should go to the 1900 block of Jackson.
1900 block of Jackson.
And I don't remember the address offhand. Sarah, do you know? 1941 1941 Jackson. That one is completed with a family living in it, so you could go by and take a look at that. And hopefully, the one on Dodge will be finished maybe by the end of summer, maybe. Okay?
Thank you, Alderman Holmes.
Nora, do you anticipate that $35,000 will be enough for demolition of most of these houses?
It depends. We'll have to go property by property. The biggest problems lie in acquisition because of a lot of these properties have a lot of back taxes, and the regulations of this program as defined by IDA, our funder, say that we cannot use the $35,000 for acquisition or to buy any kind of taxes that have been sold. I anticipate that the $35,000 will be enough for the demolition itself, but what we really have to analyze property by property is how we're going to handle those acquisition costs and if it's feasible and if we'll have to layer in other types of funding.
And I'd encourage you to reach out to the Cook County Land Bank, which we met with a couple weeks ago, or not weeks, I'm sorry, a couple months ago, if there's possibilities there as well.
Yes, they were awarded in the same grant, but the first round. So we have been reaching out to them for advice and best practices.
Other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
In opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Alderman Holmes, A62.
Oh, didn't we just finish that one? A62?
6.2.
Yeah.
Oh, that was 2?
That was 2.
6-1. That was 6-1. This is 6-2. Alderman Holmes?
Oh, I'm sorry. Resolution 27-R-16, authorizing the City of Evanston to increase the 2016 budget for the Affordable Housing Fund. This would increase the amount from the $455,000 to a new total of $929,347.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. In the opinion of
Aye.
the chair, the ayes have it. Alderman Braithwaite, A7.
Chair, I'd like to move item A7, Resolution 25-R-16, authorizing that payments relating to the fiscal year 2016 capital improvement plan projects be reimbursed by the subsequent 26 general obligation bond issuance in the dollar amount of $13,018,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Alderman Holmes, A8.
Resolution 24-R-16 for Roe, agreement with the Wide Open West. Staff recommends the City Council adoption of this resolution authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a right-of-way agreement with Sighon doing business as WOW Internet, phone and cable, WOW. For the construction of a dark fiber communication network in the public right-of-way to be leased by Verizon Communication. No city funding is required for this fiber optic cable installation. WOW will be assessed permit fees to be deposited into the right-of-way account. Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. My apologies. Alderman Braithwaite, A9.
This is for introduction and action, ordinance 38-0-16, amending the city code to establish a four-way stop control at the intersection of Ashland and Grove Street.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Alderman Holmes, A10.
Ordinance 40-0-16, amended Title 10, Motor Vehicle and Traffic, Chapter 11, Traffic Schedules, Section 22, Evanston Residential Parking Only. This would, the boundaries would be from Clyde Avenue to delete Clyde Avenue, Callan Avenue, and Elmwood Avenue from Howard to the first alley north of Howard Street.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Alderman Braithwaite, item A11.
Mr. Chair, item A11, ordinance 41-0-16, amending Title 10, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Chapter 11, Traffic Schedule, Section 18-B, Residential Parking Only District.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Alderman Holmes, A12.
Ordinance 35-0-16, decreasing the number of Class T liquor licenses for Now We're Cooking, doing business as Now We're Cooking at 1601 Payne Street, Unit C.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Alderman Braithwaite,
Yes,
813.
I'd like to move, and this is for introduction and action, ordinance 39-0-16, Autobarn Place Private Street addition to City Street system.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Nope. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. There are no items for discussion or communications. I'll accept the motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Alderman Braithwaite seconds it. We're adjourned.